Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. So in today's session we'll discuss about how to find the super keys and the candidate keys for the given relation with the functional dependencies, right? So in the previous session we have discussed about the closure, how to calculate the closure for an attribute or a set of attributes. So now we need to finding super keys and candidate keys. So if you find the super key, obviously we'll get the candidate key because the candidate keys are the minimal set of super keys. So first if we find the number of super keys available for the relation, from that information we can simply get the candidate keys. What are the different candidate keys available, right? So first, what is a super key? How we can find the super key from the functional dependencies. So super key, when we call it as a super key means if a closure, so which we have discussed in the previous session, closure, I will post the link in the description, so just go through that. So how to find the closure? So if closure of attribute or set of attributes, if the closure of attribute or set of attributes determines all the attributes of relation, then we can call it as a super key. So for example, if a relation is having the variables, attributes a comma b comma c, okay, and there are some functional dependencies, and if the closure AB, so we can also find out the closure AB, right? So if you find the closure of AB, which can determine all the attributes of a relation, then simply we can say this AB as a super key. So for that, what we have to do? We have to find out the closure for all possibilities. So for example, if you go with the three attributes, we need to find the closure for ABC, next AB, BC, AC, ABC. So we need to find the closure for all the possibilities. So that if any set of attribute, the closure for any set of attribute determines all the three attributes of the given relation, that will be considered as a super key. And from that, the minimal set of super key, so we can sort out all the super keys, and from that super keys we can find out the minimal set of super keys. Okay, for example, if this is a super key, obviously this will be the super key because all the three attributes will determine the three attributes. And if this is also a super key and this is also a super key, then the number of super keys will be ABC, AB, B. Okay, so I have not given any functional dependency, just I am saying the example. So with the help of functional dependencies, we are going to find out the closures, and if that closure contains all these three attributes, then we can call it as a super key. So let us take the super keys are ABC, okay, then AB, then B. How can we say? Because ABC closure is determining all the three attributes, AB closure determines all the three attributes, so closure will be dependent on the functional dependencies, right? So B closure also can determine both the three values. So these three will be called as a super key. Now what will be the candidate key? So obviously the minimal set of super key, so the minimal set of these attributes is this one. So B will be the candidate key. So one relation can have a single candidate key or a multiple candidate keys. Okay, one candidate key or multiple candidate keys. So now the first step, what is the first step we have to calculate means we have to find out the super keys. We have to find out the super keys. The second step, we need to find the minimal set of super key. That's a candidate key. And the third step, we have to check whether the relation is having only one candidate key or a multiple. So if so, we have to find out the other candidate keys. So that we'll discuss now. So how to find the super key with the help of a functional dependencies. So here we are having only 3 attributes, so it would be very easy for calculating all the combinations. So if our relation is having more than 3 attributes, for example, so D, E, so there are 5 attributes, then the combinations will be very more, right? So in such case, how to find the super key? So here itself we will minimize the super key, right? So that we'll explain just now. So let us take one example with a more number of attributes, not the simple attributes, with a more number of attributes. Let us take R, a relation with the attributes A, B, C, D and E. There are 5 attributes. So we need to find the super key for this particular relation. So for that we have to find the closure for all the combinations. So first we need to find out the combination for 5 attributes, next 4 attribute combination, 3 attribute combination, 2 attribute combination and 1 attribute combination. So there will be much more combinations will be there. So let us take the functional dependencies. The functional dependencies are, let us assume A tends to B and C tends to D and D tends to E. So these are the functional dependencies. These are the functional dependencies. Now we need to find the super keys. So one super key for any relation is getting the closure of all the attributes. So I will write that one: A, B, C, D, E. So the closure of all the attributes will be the super key, obviously the super key, because the closure of A will be having A as in the resultant set. Closure of B will be having B as a resultant set, right? The self attribute will be added in the resultant set. So A, B, C, D, E can determine A, B, C, D. So obviously this will be the super key, because this closure determines all the attributes of a relation. So these are the attributes, right? So this is the super key. Now from the functional dependencies, you can see if you know the value of A, we can get B. Okay, so in the previous session we have discussed about the closures, how to find the closure from the functional dependency. So the link will be posted in the description, so just go through that. Okay, so if you know A, we can determine B. So in this super key, see both A and B are existed. So if you know A, we can get a B here. So simply you can remove this B, right? So I will write here the super keys. So one super key is A, B, C, D, E. This is one super key. Now A, C, D, E. The closure for this one A, C, D, E. So write down the self A, C, D, E. Now if you know A, from the functional dependency, if you know A, we can determine B. So obviously we can get a B. And if you know C, we can get a D. So already D is available. If you know D, we can get E. Already E is available here. So this is also a super key, because A, C, D, E determines all the attributes of a relation. So A, B, C, D, E. So all the attributes are there. So obviously this is also a super key. So we can't say this is a candidate key. So still we can minimize. So we have to check whether we can minimize the super key, right? So the next one, A, C, D, E is also a super key. Is also a super key. Then from the functional dependencies, if you know A, we can get a B. So we have removed B. And if you know C, we can determine D. If you know C, we can determine D. But here both are there, C and D. So you can remove D here, because if you know C, we can remove D. Okay, so A, C, E. The closure of A, C, E, find out this one. So the self attributes A, C, E. And if you know A, we can get a B from the first functional dependency. And if you know C, we can get a D from the second functional dependency. So you can observe here all the 5 attributes are there. So by using ACE we can get all the 5 attributes. So obviously this will be the super key. This is also a super key. But we can't decide this is the only super key. Still we can try to reduce the super key, right? So here if you know D, we can reduce E, we can determine E, but here we know we don't have a D. Okay, we have A here, so that we can determine B, we have a C, we can determine D, and here we don't have D, so up to here we can't minimize this one. Okay, we can't minimize this one, right? But we can't say that this is a candidate key. We can't say that this is a candidate key, because the combinations can also determine all the attributes. So try to find out the closure for all the combinations. Now we have reduced. So previously we are having around 5 attributes here, so the combinations will be more. Okay, so here now we are checking the combinations for 3 attributes. So let us take the 3. So 3 attributes we got a super key. Now 2 attributes, write down the closure for 2 attributes, AC plus, CE plus, and AE plus, right? So if you know A, we can get a B. So first let us write the self attributes A comma C. If you know A, we can write a B. If you know C, we can get a D. Now the resultant set we are having A, C, B, D. So among that, what we can get? So we are having D. Okay, we are having D. So we can get E. Right? So this is also a super key. This is also a super key. So A, C is also a super key, because by knowing A, C self attributes we have to add to the resultant set. If you know A, we can get a B. If you know C, we can get a D. And if you know D, because we have to check with the resultant. Now we are having D here. So if you know D, we can also retrieve E. Right? So this is also a super key, because all the 5 attributes have determined by using this AC. Now coming to the CE. So C and E, if you know C, we can get a D. And if you know D, we can get a E. So we are now in the resultant set we are having C, E, D. So any other attribute we can find out, B or A? No. So this CE closure can get only the 3 attributes. So this is not a super key. This is not a super key. And coming to the next one, AE. A and E. So here the self attributes A, E. Then see, by knowing A we can get a B. Now we are having A, E, B. So no other attribute can be found here. So this is also not a super key. So you can observe here ACE is again minimized to AC. So AC is also the super key. So these are the super keys. Super keys. Right? So only this one is a super key. Right? So we can't say that. So this is a candidate key. Is it a candidate key? We can't say that, because we have to find the closures for single attribute also. So till now we have discussed about the two attribute closure, right? So here the 3 attribute closure is a super key. In order to minimize, we have written all the combinations 2 attribute closures. Now we have to write down the closure of A, okay, C, E. So A closure, if you know A, we can determine A. If you know A, we can get a B. So no other attribute can be determined. So this is not a super key. If you know C, we get a C. If you know C, we can get a D. If you know D, we can get E. So no other attribute can be determined. So this is also not a super key. If you know E, so only we can get a E. So this is also not a super key. Now we can decide that AC. So among the super keys, this is the minimal set of super key. among the super keys, this is a minimal set of super keys. So once again I am repeating. So first let us take all the attributes, the closure of all the attributes, so that it can determine all the attributes, so which gives the super key. Now from the functional dependencies, so just try to reduce the number of attributes. So up to here we can reduce, and from these attributes we can't reduce, right? So we can't say this is the minimal set of super key. So still we have to check for the combinations, different combinations. So AC, CE, AE. So two attribute combinations and a single attribute combinations. So among this one, again we got the super key. AC is a super key because the closure of AC determines all the attributes of relation. Now, after finding all the super keys, we can say AC is a candidate key. So this is the second step. So first step is finding the super keys. We have done. And the second step is finding the candidate keys among the super key, which is a minimal set of super key. So among all the super keys, this is a minimal set. So we can say AC is a candidate key. And the third step, how we can decide this is the only candidate key, whether there can be multiple candidate keys, right? So how can we say this is the only candidate key? So for that purpose, we need to find the prime attributes. We need to find the prime attributes. So after this one, after finding the candidate key, we have to make sure that that's the only candidate key or there are many more candidate keys, right? So for that, find out the prime attributes. So which one we call it as a prime attributes? So the prime attributes are the attributes which involved in the candidate key. So which involved in the, or which are available in the candidate key. So are the prime attributes. So here the candidate key is a AC. AC or yes, AC is a candidate key. So the prime attributes are A comma C. The prime attributes are A comma C. Now in order to find whether the relation is having a multiple candidate keys, so check whether to check for more candidate keys. To check for more candidate keys, the first one, check whether any one of prime attributes are on RHS of any functional dependency. Say I am removing this one. So check whether any one of the prime attributes are on RHS of any functional dependency. So here the prime attributes are A and C. So we need to check whether A or C are on RHS. So this is a RHS and this is the LHS. So we need to find out whether A or C are available on RHS. So if not, so there is only one candidate key. There is only one candidate key. So if the prime attributes are not available on the RHS of any functional dependency, simply we can say there is only one candidate key. So in this example, you can observe A, C are the prime attributes and none of these attributes are on the RHS of any functional dependency. So that implies we can say for this particular relation, AC is the only candidate key. only candidate key. There are no multiple candidate keys. So if yes, right, if yes, then replace prime attribute, replace the prime attribute in candidate key with corresponding LHS of functional dependency. So obviously, for example, here AC, right? For example, there is a functional dependency D tends to C. Okay, there is a functional dependency or D tends to A. Okay, D tends to A. Okay, let us take. Sorry. So there is a D tends to C. Now A, C are the prime attributes. If C is having, C is available on the RHS of this one, just take the candidate key AC and replace the prime attribute. What's the prime attribute here? C. So replace this one with the corresponding LHS. That means what is the LHS here? D. So AD. Okay, AD. Next, after that, what we have to do? Repeat finding super key and candidate key. Repeat finding super key and candidate key for the new candidate key. Right? So hope you understood this one. The first step, we need to find the super keys. So that's the same. So we have to find out the closure. With the help of closure, we are finding the complete super keys. After that, we are finding the minimal set of super key, that is a candidate key. So from that candidate key, we are finding the prime attributes. So we have to check whether these prime attributes resides on the RHS of any one of the functional dependency. If so, so we have to replace the prime attribute in the candidate key with the corresponding LHS of functional dependency and follow the same process. Again find out the super key for that particular attributes and again find out the candidate key. Repeat the same process, right? And if not, simply ensure that there is only one candidate key. There is only one candidate key. So in our relation, in our example, the super keys are this one. The candidate key is AC. The prime attributes are A and C. So we have to check whether A and C available on the RHS of any functional dependency, but there are no A or C available in RHS. So obviously we can say that AC is the only candidate key. AC is the only candidate key. Right? So hope you understood. Now we'll take one more example which will obey this one, right? Okay. So consider second example. Take the relation R with the 4 attributes X, Y, Z and W. So the functional dependencies are X tends to Y, Y tends to Z, Z tends to X. Now what we have to do? We have to find out the super keys, right? So I'll find out the super key for this one. So I'll consider X, Y, Z, W closure. So which will give all the values X, Y, Z, W. So this will be the super key. Then, so from the functional dependencies, you can say if you are having X, the Y can be determined. So both X and Y are available in the closure. So you can just remove the Y. So it is minimized. X, Z, W. So which is again a closure. We can find the closure. So the self attributes can be added into the resultant set X, Z, W, and if you know X, we can determine Y. So Y. So again, by using X, Z, Y closure, we can determine all the attributes of a relation. So again, it is a super key. Next, if you know Y, we can get a Z, but here we are not having Y. If you know Z, we can get X. If you know Z, we can get X. So here you can remove X. So ZW closure. So it will give the self Z comma W and if you know Z, we can get X, so X can be determined. Now X is available in the resultant set, so if you know X, we can get a Y, so Y can also be determined. So all the 4 attributes can be determined by using ZW. So again, this is a super key. So still, shall we remove any other attribute from this ZW? So we can't remove this one. So now we have to, so we can't say that ZW is a candidate key. So once again, we have to minimize this one. So we have to go with the multiple combinations. So apply the Z closure and check whether it forms a super key. So Z, if you know Z, we can get X, and if you know X, we can get Y, and if you know Y, we can get a Z. That's it. So W is not here, we can't determine W, so this is not a super key. And coming to the W plus, so W can be determined, and other than W, no other attribute can be determined, so this is also not a super key. So here the super keys are, X, Y, Z, W, X, Z, W, Z, W. So these are all the super keys. So among these super keys, which one is a candidate key? The minimal set. So this will be the candidate key. Right? So but we can't finalize that this is the only candidate key. So there might be a possibility that there are many more candidate keys other than this one. So we have to find that one. So for that, what we have to do? We have to check with prime attributes. The prime attributes are the attributes involved in the candidate key. So Z and W are the prime attributes. What we have to do? We have to check whether Z or W available on the RHS. So to check for more candidate keys, check whether any one of the prime attribute are on RHS of any functional dependency. So here Z and W. So you can observe here, yes, Z is available on the right hand side. Z is available on the RHS, right? So this one, yes, replace the prime attribute in the candidate key. So what's the candidate key here? ZW. So what we have to do? So yes, it is in RHS. So what we have to do? So ZW. So Z should be replaced with corresponding LHS. So what is the corresponding LHS? Y. So YW, right? Z is replaced with YW. So what we have to do again? Repeat findings of super key for the candidate key. So now we have to consider this one and we have to find out the super key. So again, find out the closure for YW. See, Y. If you know Y, we can get, Y and W we can get. If you know Y, we can get a Z. So if you know Z, we can get X. Yes. So this is a super key. So obviously ZW is a candidate key, that fixed. Other than ZW, there are any other candidate keys that we are finding. So for that we are checking whether the prime attribute is available in the RHS. If yes, we are just replacing the RHS, the prime attribute in the candidate key with the corresponding LHS. So in this functional dependency, it exists, right? So we have replaced the prime attribute in the candidate key with the corresponding LHS Y. So YW. So repeat the same process. Whatever the process we are doing, repeat the same process YW. So we have done super key. Still we can just find out whether we can minimize or not. So write down all the combinations. Write down the closure for Y. So if you know Y, we can get Z. If you know Z, we can get X. So W can't be determined. So this is not a super key. And also W plus is equal to, so we can get only W. Other than W, we can't determine any other attribute. So this is also not a super key. Now YW is a candidate key, and we can't decide YW is the only candidate key. Again, from this we have to find out the prime attributes. What are the prime attributes? Prime attributes are y and w. So here yw is a candidate key. Yw is a candidate key. So prime attributes are y comma w. Again check for this one. So y and w, whether they are on RHS. Yes, y is in RHS. What we have to do? Replace on RHS. So result is yes. So replace. So yw is replaced with corresponding LHS. That means xw. Find out, repeat the same process. Find out the closure for xw. So if you know xw, we can get x comma w. If you know x, we can get a y. If you know y, we can get a z. So this is a super key. And find out the closure for x plus. So if you know x, we can get a y. If you know y, we can get z. So but we can't determine w. So this is not a super key. Similarly, I'm erasing this one. Similarly, so w plus closure. If you know w, we can get only the w. We can't determine x, y, z. So this is not a super key. Now the candidate key is a xw. So is it completed? No. So from this again we need to find the prime attributes which are x and w. So we need to check whether these attributes are on RHS. Okay, RHS. Yes, here it satisfies. Replace this one. So xw, x is replaced with zw. So zw is already a candidate key. So you can stop the process. Now we can decide the candidate keys. The candidate keys for the given relation are zw, after that yw, after that xw. So these are the candidate keys for the given relation. So very simple process. Okay, so the first step we need to find out the super keys. From that we have to find out the candidate key, and from that candidate key we need to check whether the relation consists of a single candidate key or a multiple candidate keys. If it is a single candidate key, so how we can say it is having a single candidate key? So for check, so this is the process. We need to check whether any one of the prime attributes are on RHS of any functional dependency. So if not, we can decide there is only one candidate key. If yes, we have to replace the prime attribute in the candidate key with corresponding LHS of a functional dependency and repeat the same process. Identify the super keys and identify the candidate key. Again identify the prime attributes and again check whether the prime attributes are available on the RHS. If so, again you have to replace the prime attribute of the candidate key with the corresponding LHS and continue the process until you get the same candidate key, repeated candidate key, right? So this is the process to find the super keys and the candidate keys of any relation with respect to the functional dependencies, right? So hope you understood this process, and if you are having any doubt regarding this one, feel free to post your doubts in the comment section. Definitely I will try to clarify all your doubts. And if you really enjoyed my session, like my session, share my session with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.